I'm Jim.
And I'm Kevin.
And we are
the Signal Brothers. Folks, welcome back to another live episode of the Signal Brothers. Yes, we do this live. This is not pre-recorded and edited. You get Jim and Kevin unfiltered.
raw.
Before we get started, one of the things we'd love to add is that if you're watching this, we'd love for you to follow us. So if you could like and follow us on Facebook and on YouTube, we'd appreciate it. We're looking to increase our follower base. We're not trying to monetize things, but we're just trying to see people who are listening out there, if they would connect in and share the word, man. Get other people to like and follow us both on Facebook and on YouTube. We appreciate it. Hey, before we get started, some of the things we always go over is all the opinions that are expressed by Jim and myself are solely ours. They are not representative of either our employers or our families. So we're doing this on our own, and please do not associate our employers or family members with the comments we make on this podcast. We'd love to take questions related to the subject we're covering. So if you want to ask a question or got a comment, please put it in the chat, and we'll be sure to watch and answer it as soon as possible. Sometimes Jim and I kind of get wrapped up in the moment, and we don't pay attention, and then we see we got a comment in the banner. So we'll go ahead and make sure we address them just as soon as we can. Yep. Hey, got a subject that you're passionate about? We'd love to have you as a guest on the podcast. So if you're interested in joining us on the podcast and something you want to talk about, even if you think that your opinion does not align with Jim, you're exactly the kind of person we want to have on this podcast. Not because we want to give you a hard time. We want that opposite view. We want that diametric opposed view of how Jim and I think about things on the podcast. So please, if you're listening, watching, and you want to be on the podcast, let us know. Got an idea for a subject you want us to cover? Put it in the chat, or send it to us on Facebook, or however you want to get in touch with Jim and I. We had a listener do that, 4 or 5 weeks ago, and last podcast we did 3 weeks ago was specifically driven by a follower. Yep. So without any further ado, today's topic is about taxes, and I put taxation with representation because we are technically represented, but I sometimes wonder if our representatives are really paying attention. So, Jim, I'm going to turn it over to you to get us started.
Okay, well, that's a great way to put it. I mean, the with representation, because, you remember the old arguments from history class about the taxation without representation. Well, like you said, we supposedly have representation. It's not always in line with what we want, but we have it. But taxation, everybody's favorite subject. It's this is the one thing that touches everybody, no matter where you come from, no matter where you live, what you believe, what you do for a living. Taxation touches us all, and it's a pain to us all. And to spend your day putting in hard work and efforts, and then having somebody just take 25-30% off the top, it's frustrating. But, when you think about what it pays for, what it's supposed to pay for anyway, we can have a whole discussion on that kind of thing later. I get it. We use the roads, we use government services, I get it. Those things need to be funded somehow. But the thing is, the way they set up the taxation, and sometimes it can end up actually having your income double or even triple taxed. Depending on what's going on at the time. You're taxed for on your earnings, and you're taxed to spend it. And if you buy something like a house with it, you're taxed again every year for it. It can build up really quick. But there are several different types of taxes. But really, we didn't have a formal type of income tax the way we know until about 1913. I believe it was with the 16th Amendment. Before that, it was mostly your vice taxes. 90% of it was vice tax, alcohol, tobacco, that kind of thing. And a lot of that, if you remember back to your history, again, the Boston Tea Party, the whole Tea Act of what year was that? 1867 or something, where they wanted to sell the tea without giving the local tax, and people just started throwing stuff into the harbor. I know it's a bit more, detailed than that, but we've been fighting that since then. It's again something that touches us all, and I can't find my notes here. Um, but I mean, what year was that? I'm trying to recall what year that was. 18. Oh, so I was 100 years off. 1773. The first income tax law was really first a personal income tax law was 1861, and the second one it was changed by the Wilson-Gorman tariff, which was in 1894. And that was before we even made it a constitutional amendment to create the income tax as we know it today. So, I mean, we'll talk income tax, we'll talk estate tax, we'll talk, inheritance tax, all kind of stuff like that. And we'll just get into it piece by piece. Kevin?
Yeah. I mean, in today's world, right, I look at how all the different taxes that I pay. So I work, I pay income taxes, I pay taxes for Social Security. When I pay income tax, I pay federal and state taxes, right, in the state of Virginia. When I go to the store and I buy anything, I pay taxes. I'm supposed to pay property taxes on my house, but I'm exempt because I'm a 100% disabled veteran. But a lot of people are paying property taxes on their home. In Virginia, we pay property taxes on vehicles as well.
Yeah,
right.
So that's every year, right?
Yeah, we pay twice a year.
Wow.
And then and so there's just so many ways we get taxed. And what's amazing is, and I'm going to talk specifically about where I live, and it's pretty interesting. In Stafford County, since 2021, the tax rate has gone up 57 to 62% on homeowners, on some homeowners as high as that.
Wow.
So here's the problem in Stafford County, and I'll talk about Stafford County because it's a problem that exists in a lot of counties across the United States. So we're a fast-growing county, but we're fast-growing in residents, but not in businesses. And in the average county, 60% of the revenue should come from homeowners, 40% from business. Well, in Stafford County, it's 85% residents and 15% businesses. So the unique problem we have here is because we're growing, because we need more firemen, more teachers, more policemen, more infrastructure. That is why the taxes keep on going up in Stafford for homeowners. And so what's scary is they're going to drive people out of this county. And so the problem in my county, and I'm sure we're not the only one having this problem, Jim, is you got to have a strategic plan to also grow the businesses. You got to have the rate of business growth. Of course, we exploded in residential population, but there should be a comprehensive plan that that expands over 25 years for a county, and they should keep it updated so that they're attracting the right businesses in. And basically businesses coming into the county can be a whole nother subject that we can cover, Jim, and I won't get into the details today about some of the issues we're dealing with here in Stafford County. But the reason I bring that up is you look at Seattle, you look at New York City, right? These are major cities in the United States where they're looking to increase taxes on millionaires. And so what are the millionaires doing? They're picking up and leaving.
Yeah.
They're going to tax-friendly states. What states are they going to? They're going to Florida. They're going to Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Nevada, Arizona.
We're getting companies here.
Exactly. So it's very simple to say, hey, the people who are rich need to pay more. But the reality is, if you target people who make more money and put the burden solely on them, Jim, right? They leave and go somewhere else.
Yeah, and they will take the jobs with them. They will take the economies, local economies will crash. I mean, nobody thinks of the big picture when it comes to that.
And it goes back to that 60-40 I was talking about. So if all these big businesses start moving, look at California, all the large corporations that have left California. If I would challenge any listener to go look at the number of businesses that have left California in the past 10 years. It's staggering because it's not tax friendly.
Mm-mm. Now they got it. Now they're doing an exit tax.
Yeah.
You got to pay a tax to leave. I'm like, I don't think there's anything more un-American than that.
I think it's almost unconstitutional.
Yeah,
right?
I would say so without hesitation.
Yeah. So I would, anybody who's getting charged the exit tax for leaving, I would highly encourage them to challenge it because it's ridiculous.
It is. I mean, and you think, I mean, your corporations are going to offset that residential tax, and like I said, take the jobs with them. Because I mean, I've never known any poor people that it's given me a job. I mean, that's just kind of how it works. You know, it's they have the jobs, they're taking the jobs with them, and and like when we were in Chicago a few years ago, we stopped at a Walmart store for some supplies for we were staying a couple of weeks, and their shelves were almost bare, and we were like, we can't find it. What's going on? So, the store's shutting down. I was like, what do you mean shutting down? I said, yeah, we're shutting down. And we got back to where we were staying, with family, and we turned on the TV, and we happened to catch a news story that same evening, and talking about why Walmart is leaving and how everybody around there is having a fit because that's the only store anywhere in the neighborhood, and a lot of these people don't have cars; they take the train or whatever. Yep. And it's like, why are they leaving? Why are they leaving? They shouldn't do this to us. And like, well, first of all, you're not in a tax-friendly community. Second, and this is a whole other topic, is the half the people in the community are robbing them blind. They're not going to stand for that. They're not going to stay there where they're getting robbed and making no profit and having to pay higher taxes than anywhere else in the country. They're not going to stay.
Yeah. Yeah. Jim, I agree 100%. And the problem is that I go back to the 2016 debate between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. And when she goes, he doesn't pay taxes. And he goes, that's because I'm smart.
Yes.
Right. So if you look at the way the tax code is written, right? She pointed at him for not paying taxes, but the Clintons are taking advantage of the same tax breaks. Everybody. Yeah. It's not a Republican issue. It's not a Democratic issue. It is those with the money have the money to hire accountants and hire lawyers to navigate the complicated tax code we have in this country at the federal level.
Yeah.
And when you look at that and realize that, and if you look at how much money we pump into the IRS to make sure people are paying their taxes, I just don't know why we can't get our heads around a flat tax. A flat tax. And you can make that flat. Imagine how simple taxes would be. I got it. It's going to put some lawyers and accountants probably out of business, right? But guess what? AI is putting a lot of people out of a job, right? So don't want to hear about, well, it's going to put accountants and lawyers out of business. Simplify the tax code, reduce the size of the IRS to help reduce the size of the government and the oversight. I just can't understand. Well, you want to blame, people want to point fingers, but that's the reality. The people that make the money are navigating our complicated tax code to pay as little tax as possible.
Yeah. And when these guys, at the billionaire level are buying and selling companies, you notice they don't do it for cash, they do it for stock, because stock is not realized gains. You don't tax unrealized gains.
Yeah.
And that's how they do it. If you notice some of these, like my company, when it was sold, and they paid off a couple of the CEOs to leave, and they paid them almost purely in stock options. It's unrealized gain. They're not going to get taxed on it. I mean, there's several ways around it. And if you have, the means to, hire people to do nothing but explore that, yeah. If you're using the system the way the system was designed, you're not really cheating, but. Yeah, the flat tax, I think that would help a lot because you think about it, you and I at our level and a millionaire, they still need to buy soap. They still need to buy, gas for their car. They still need, but where the state, the community is going to make their money is, I'm not buying a Lamborghini. I'm not buying a Porsche. You know what I mean? That the higher ticket items is where the money is going to be made in that scenario.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the federal level for federal income tax, right? That's where it's complicated, right? Every county and state sets their own tax
Yeah.
rate on items, and we shouldn't get into the federal government shouldn't be involved in what tax rate the state and the county set for them to earn money to pay the bills to keep their
Hmm.
counties and states going. The other thing that really bothers me is that there's constant tax increases, but where's the accountability of where the money's being spent?
Well, see, that could be a whole other topic because we've touched on this a few times about the fraud, about the things like that, where the money's going, how it's being laundered, filtered back, all those assumptions, all those I think it's happening, but it's not like we can prove it. They're trying to
Yeah,
prove it, but yeah,
I,
I
I
mean,
I think there has to be accountability how money is being spent.
yeah. What was it? I wasn't prepared for this part, but there was how much was lost that they couldn't account for. It was like $800 million or something they couldn't account for. It was a few years ago. You remember that? They lit it. We just can't find it.
So if you look at, it goes back to we covered Doge, all right? We
Hmm.
talked
Hmm.
about, the chainsaw versus the scalpel. And so I believe that we have to keep on looking for efficiencies in how the government spends money. There's
Hmm.
no accountability. If you look at a state like California, what they charge, when I look at what I pay for gas, and then when I fly out to California, what California's paying for gas, and I got it, gas has increased with everything going on in Iran, and that's a whole sidebar conversation. But if you look, they pay about $1.50 to $2 more a gallon in California than I pay here in Virginia. And that's all taxes.
Hmm.
Those are state funded taxes, state and county taxes on the gas.
Well,
But then I thought about it, Jim. I mean, they're pushing hard for electric cars in
mhm.
California. So what are they doing about charging those driving electric cars? Are they increasing the cost for electric in California? I mean, it just things to
That's a
think
good
about.
that's a good point. When a job I had about 10, 15 years ago, when all that was really coming up, they had installed a few charging ports at in our parking lot. And the funny thing was, okay, so now the CEO, when he comes here, can charge his car for free, but I, making a tenth of his income, have to pay for my own gas to and from the same place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing. Here's another crazy thing that I pay in my county. I pay something called a community development assessment, a CDA.
Hmm.
So when I bought this home I'm living in, Jim, it came with a $30,000 assessment on the home. So on top of paying everything else, I have to pay twice a year towards the community development assessment. This is to help develop the county with the explosive growth. And it's
Hmm.
crazy. So in the community I live in, every house has a $30,000 assessment. Every townhome has a $20,000 assessment. Insane.
Yeah.
So
When I was my first house in Tennessee, this 20 some years ago, there in that community, it's a small community on the outskirts of Nashville, and we had right down the main street was another main street basically to connect it to all the housing areas. There were three properties on this street, two on one side, one on the other. And they were huge properties, so they were garnering a lot of a lot of property tax for that area in East Nashville. About halfway through the time I had my house there, they sold all three of those properties, and this is pure coincidence. Two churches were built, nothing to do with each other, not even the same denomination, just pure coincidence. One was built on two of those lots, and one was built on the single lot. That same year, my tax rate for my property tax doubled because now they're no longer getting the revenue for those three properties because churches are tax exempt. So they pushed that all off on the rest of us. And these weren't even churches that were, and I can't remember what religion they were, but they were not they were not a Christian denomination. They were, I don't want to upset anybody. It's some denomination from from another country. You know what I'm saying? I can't remember what they were, but they were nothing that I'd ever heard of. And now my property tax went up. I'm sure everybody else is in the area did the same. to offset that loss in revenue.
So you talk about loss in revenue. I read an article this week about the mayor of Seattle, Katie Wilson. So they asked her, said, how do you feel about millionaires leaving Seattle because of the 9.9% income tax that you're putting on everybody? And her answer is, bye. Seattle's $750 million in the red.
Mm-hmm.
Starbucks leaving Seattle.
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. Starbucks leaving Seattle. A sentence I never thought I'd say.
I mean, it's crazy, right? And now you look in New York, Mondami's talking about the same thing, increasing the taxes on residents because he doesn't have enough money to. He was promising to give away the world, and he had no clue about how much money New York was upside down on to pay to keep the city operational.
That was one of the. He's the epitome of the phrase my mama used to say. His mouth is writing checks, his rear end can't cash.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
100%. And it's sickening to me, Jim.
Yeah. It's like it's intentional. It's like their full intent is to break it down so bad. Now people are already screaming for socialism, because it's so bad. Well, it's bad because you're sitting in your butt doing nothing. A lot of them. But it's
socialism doesn't work.
Yeah, it does not work.
Russia.
It's never worked
anywhere. It didn't work in East Germany. It did not work.
Cuba, Venezuela. I mean, it does not work.
It doesn't work. So people are just jealous because people want the money, but they don't want to work for it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to come out and say it. The socialist people want everything for free, and they don't want to have to work for it. But the money's got to be generated. Money has to be generated somehow.
And these companies are fleeing. They recognize that it's not just their income base. They're recognizing what's happening to that area. You're not going to be able to run a privately owned business or even a publicly owned business when there is no public.
Yeah.
When it's all government control, you can't have that kind of a cash stream.
100%. 100%. I just don't understand the logic and reasons that people put into thinking that socialism is the answer. Do we have issues in this country? Absolutely. But capitalism is what makes this country great.
Yeah. And even some of the biggest vocalists of the socialism movement, AOC, it's like, okay, sit back and think for a second, Ms. Cortez. In a socialist country, could a bartender become a member of government, a member of the controlling group of their country? No. You could never do that in a socialist country. You're not going to be a servant and all of a sudden be in the position in the government to make rules and laws. No, that would not happen. So she is her own perfect evidence that it would not work.
Well, I'm telling you, when I think about it, so another state, let's talk about Virginia. Abigail Spanberger ran on the thing of affordability, saying Virginia's too expensive. And then the legislature swung Democratic in the state of Virginia in November, where they got elected, but it started in January. And they immediately started putting taxes on everything. To get your nails done costs money, additional money. To call an Uber or to do DoorDash costs more money. To get your dry cleaning done costs more money because they put taxes, the state did, on all the stuff. But the state of Virginia, up to this point, has not been in the red. We've had a surplus, Jim, of money in the state of Virginia. So why did they think that they needed to increase all this stuff? Oh, did you know that the state legislature increased their pay by 50%?
Yeah, they do that.
Jim, that is being self-serving. That is self-serving to me, and it nothing more than that pisses me off. It's not trust me. I brought up the fact that it became Democratic, but I just want to be very clear. I wouldn't care Democratic or Republican if the state is earning enough money and has a surplus why are we increasing costs for the average Virginian when you ran on an affordability platform?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and who gets? I mean, who gets a 50% pay raise? I'm lucky to get a 3% a year.
It's crazy. It's absolutely insane and doesn't make sense. And so, we've talked about so many subjects over the past. We've doing this. Jim went out for 15 months. The podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
We get excited about the politicians at the federal level, but we forget that the most impact on our life, the taxes we pay, happen at the local level.
Yep.
I got to encourage our listeners to pay attention to what's going on at your local level, at the city, county, and state level. Pay attention to what's going on around you, because that's where it has the most impact on your life.
Yeah, when you're talking federal level, and I tell my daughters the same thing. It's like, look, I said, you don't like this, or you don't like that. I was like, you're not going to fight the federal government. You right now, you have to worry about your state, your city. You get your state, because there's several things the state controls that the federal government is not, and we've talked about this. It's like, if those things are important to you, fight the state government in your legal ways, your peaceful protesting, your voting, stuff like that, your community support. You get out there and you talk to those politicians when they're doing their town halls and stuff. I think you're going to be a lot more effective at your local level than you are at your federal level, especially in certain subjects.
Yeah. Well, Jim, I'm telling you, I think I think we need to summarize about the taxes, right? Number one, when you increase taxes, people move somewhere where taxes are more friendly. Mm-hmm. That's number one. Number two, before you increase taxes, you ought to be accounting for where you're spending the money.
Yeah.
Number three, millionaires are getting over on taxes because the tax code at the federal level is so complicated. If Congress should be focusing on simplifying the tax code, right, or a flat tax, or simplifying the tax code, if they really want people to pay their fair share of taxes.
Yeah, there's some really big loopholes in there. Close those loopholes.
Close the loopholes, right? I think that's so important to fixing these issues.
Mm-hmm.
And we know exit taxes. I got an issue with that. I don't think that's constitutional.
I don't either.
I don't know.
Well,
punishing you for wanting to leave by using your freedom, using your right to leave.
Mm-hmm. That has been discussed so many times. You remember back to Rittenhouse, that whole situation. Why was he in that state? Because he has every daggone right to be. We can come and go as we please, and to tax somebody for that, oh my God, that's just ridiculous. But the thing is, we were talking a minute ago about paying people in stock. I find it interesting that you can pay somebody $18 million in stock; they don't have to pay taxes on it. We got a one-time reward from my company of 5 shares of stock. I ended up getting 3 shares because they took the other 2 for taxes. Like, okay, now wait a minute, why wasn't I in that group? Why didn't I get to keep all my shares of stock? You don't do that there's just all kind of loopholes, that need to be closed. We're working on the symptoms. We're not working on the base of the problem. Oh, we got a question.
Yeah, no, Colin made a comment. Colin made a comment about that none of them passed and went to the governor's desk for signature. I disagree that I think they're still working it, Colin. So they are still working on increasing them. So while none of them made it there yet, not all of them have been voted down.
Well, we got a situation in Tennessee where, in the Nashville area at least anyway, where our mayor is working on getting rid of the grocery tax. So, because we know in Tennessee we don't have a state income tax, so our taxes are higher. Our sales tax is higher, give or take 10%, depending on the community you're in. But yeah. So I don't know what that's going to do. So we'll have to see on that one.
Well, good. I do appreciate Colin listening and putting the comment there.
Mm-hmm.
Colin and I sit on different sides of the aisle when it comes to politics, and that's okay.
That is okay. That's the whole point.
Okay.
That's the whole
All
point.
righty. Should we get into current events, Jim?
Sure, let's do it.
All righty. Why don't you cover the first one for us?
King Charles visits him and Queen Camilla, and that was like a 4 day whole big old thing. It looked to go pretty well, and it was only the second time a member of British Parliament, at least at that level, has addressed Congress. I was blown away by that. I didn't realize his mother had, but when I heard that he was addressing Congress, I was just wow, chills. Just when you think where we were 250 years ago, I think they even talked about it when they met. And from all accounts, everything went well. Everything it went pretty well. They've had some tensions in the past, but it looked to be a good visit, and hopefully it'll strengthen our relations a little bit because, like I said, it have been stressed in recent years.
Two things I found ironic about his visit. Number one, he visited during the year 250th celebration, the year of our 250th celebration. I find that ironic. Number one,
I don't know that it was. I might have been. I think that was planned. I think that was intentional.
Yeah, and then number two, we've had all these No Kings protests.
Yes,
and yet we had both chambers of Congress applauding a king addressing them. So I thought it was quite ironic, Jim.
Yeah, the internet did not miss that one at all.
Yes.
That was great.
Yeah, I just had to bring up the sort of right things. Listen, man, I think relationships with England are important.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what anybody. I know people may disagree with that, but I personally believe it's important to have good relationships with England. They have a lot of influence on a lot of things that go on around the world. They've had that influence for a long time.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to have good relationships. I think he has ability to really sway opinions in this country.
Yes.
In our politicians, and he talked about working together. Yep. Right. And unity. He was talking about unity within our country, but also unity across the globe, I think was his message. So he didn't clearly articulate one way or the other.
Yeah. But it was, I looked at several pictures. The one thing I noticed about the pictures, though, it hit me right off. Because, I've read all kind of stuff on the royals and, back and forth. And there is a protocol when you deal with king, queens, princes, princesses. You don't touch them. I've seen at least 2 pictures where Trump has his hand on King Charles' knee or his hand on the back of his shoulder. I'm not sure if that was an accidental breach of protocol or him flexing.
Well, I'm not going to ponder and guess on that. I'm sure he was advised about proper.
He had to have been.
Yeah.
There was
but
also
we all know that Donald Trump does what Donald Trump wants to do.
Yep.
And doesn't give a damn. Right. I call him Honey Badger.
Yeah. He did shake hands with J.D. Vance, but I think King Charles initiated that one, which would make it okay. But
yeah. Awesome.
Oh, Spirit Airlines.
Yeah, this is a big deal because the government was trying to work a deal to bail them out. But if you go back in time, JetBlue was trying to merge with Spirit Airlines. And they stopped it. They stopped the merger. Said it wasn't good for the consumer because the number of choices would be reduced and prices of airline tickets would go up. Well, now you just lost an airline, a low-cost carrier airline. So I disagree with the fact that it was going to reduce your choices and reduce competition because now they're gone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other airlines stand to benefit because they've got to offload those planes and equipment and everything else, facilities. So that's was it? They said the statement that they put out said mostly increases in fuel is what finally did them in. So I mean that makes sense, but I mean And Trump talked a couple of times. They talked to him about bailing him out and everything. He entertained it and then ended up ultimately not bailing him out.
Well, 17,000 employees got laid off, Jim.
Yep.
17,000 employees. That's a lot.
Well, we wish them well. Hope they get back to work soon. It's a very, very niche field. I mean, depending on what those employees are. I mean,
yep.
It's like me. At this point, I can't do much other than what I'm doing right now. So
not only did 17,000 people get laid off, people who had tickets with Spirit Airlines are now stranded, and at least the other airlines are doing the best they can to help accommodate folks that had booked flights on Spirit Airlines to help them rebook and get them where they need to go. Real mess.
Yep. What else we got? Redistricting.
Redistricting. So this is getting ugly. This is getting ugly. And now, in Virginia 2 weeks ago, we voted, and the state of Virginia voted to redistrict Virginia out of cycle. Even though I disagree with it, that's how the vote came out. It was close. It was 51 to 48%. So it shows that the state's pretty divided. But now it's being held up in the courts.
Yep.
But right now, Florida has taken measures to counter that. So we're getting into this vicious cycle, and we're not solving anything. And I'm going to point, one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to point to Donald Trump. He started this mess by meddling in Texas. He did. He started by urging Texas to do it.
He's urging Tennessee to do it now. Little story I read. That's the first I heard of it. He's urging Tennessee to do it. In Louisiana, the Supreme Court blocked that, and they had put off their elections till May 16th to allow for it.
Yeah, well, the issue with Louisiana is they were trying to make another congressional district to favor black voters, and that's what the Supreme Court shut down.
Absolutely, but and of course they're calling it racist. It's kind of racist what they were doing, not racist that they stopped it, really.
So, but what I think what the Supreme Court's decision did is now we're going to see a lot more of this, not only for 2026, but also for 2028.
Well, I think it speaks a lot when Louisiana was pushing off their election to make sure they had that in place first. That just sounds like dirty pool to me. I mean, it may be legal, but it just don't sound like a good way to do things.
Well, living in Virginia, Jim, what I can tell you is the amount of money that came from outside sources to push this redistricting is pretty immense. There was a lot of money that came into Virginia. I mean, we had Barack Obama on TV every day talking about vote yes for the special election in April. So they spent a lot of money. They put a lot of important people in front of the state of Virginia to vote yes on this. And that's the problem. I don't have a problem with Virginia voting, even though the vote didn't go the way I wanted, Jim. The problem I have is with the external influences.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the issue that I have.
Yeah, we're going to bring in people that have nothing to do with what's going on in our community, have them influenced, and then leave when they're done.
And I'm sure it's happening in Florida. I'm sure you're going to see it in Tennessee. I'm sure it's not just in Virginia. So
I don't know. I don't think Tennessee has any intention of doing it. At least so far, at least that I've heard. So we'll have to see how that goes.
So I think there's more to come. I think as close as we are to the midterms, the number of states that can actually make changes between now and November, and the fact of having a candidate, because I think the cutoffs for candidates to register has come and gone. But it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, as of yesterday's AP, there were, let's see, Texas has adopted a new map, New Mexico, Texas, you just talked about Texas, Missouri, Ohio, North Carolina, and the ones that have rejected have been Kansas, Illinois, Indiana, New York, Maryland, Florida, Alabama, and Louisiana. So it's not the one or two states, but it's going on a lot, and we're going to see more.
And we'll see more. Absolutely. So let's talk about the attempted assassination of the president at the Correspondents' Dinner. This is crazy.
Unprecedented. This is ridiculous.
So here's what is crazy is, number one, there's a bunch of people saying that this was staged by the Republicans. But if you said that last time, this guy left enough documentation around. He had TDS. And for those people who don't know what TDS is, Trump deranged syndrome, he had it, and he wanted to make a change. And he was pretty smart about the way he did it, right? The fact that he booked at the hotel, but he left the breadcrumb trail the whole way through. Mm-hmm. The fact that he was able. So here's what I want to say. People say, "Well, how did he get through? How did he get through?" And so I've done a lot of reading about it, Jim, and I think there probably could have been better security measures, but the security measures did work. When he broke through the security control, right? They got him, mm-hmm. right? But this is crazy that there's such an obsession with Donald Trump that people want to go after him. Well, it's crazy.
It's not, and I get his personality. I've never defended his personality. He's arrogant, narcissistic. Yeah, I get it, but the last at least 10 years of them constantly droning on about how he's Hitler and he's fascist and he's going to destroy our country and he's going to take us into World War III. I mean, you got people already on the edge, and you got somebody berating them, every minute of every day, telling them how evil this man is. I think it's a direct result, not all of it, but you know what I mean, a direct push from all the negative things that are being said. There's no accountability for, if I tell you, hey, Kevin, this guy over here, he's going to take out an entire school. You need to do something, and if you're like, I really do have to do something, he's going to take out that school. I mean, I'm going to have some culpability there for telling you that, but no accountability. There's nothing. They can just sit there and drone on, telling lie after lie after lie. And I'm not going to say it's all lies, but they overdo, even if it is the truth, they overdo it. And you're going to get bombarded by that every minute of your life for the last decade. I mean, it's just irresponsible. I'm not taking any responsibility away from this guy that did it. I mean, he's a grown adult. He can make his own choices. But still, there's just got to be the decency, and we've talked about this before, the decency in the way we handle debates and our opponents and everything else in the political realm has gotten way out of hand. And I think this is directly responsible for some of this.
But I will say this. I blame Donald Trump for being nasty. When did he get in the race? 2015?
Yeah,
2015. His rhetoric has been nasty. Let's be honest. He started the nasty rhetoric. Now everybody's using it. And we got to go back to a place of decorum that we should expect from our politicians. They don't have to agree. Mm-hmm. But God, they got to have common courtesy and respect for each other. Yeah, but I believe he started it. I'm going to call it. He started the nastiness. Pocahontas. There's all these things.
Yeah, but this started way before stuff like that. From the moment
it started, but it ramped up with him.
From the moment he announced. The thing about when you have mudslinging in politics, every other time before this, you get the mudslinging, and then when the election happens, you don't talk anymore about it. But with Donald Trump, the nastiness that came out about him, they kept it going. And going and going and going. Yeah, I'd be nasty too. Not to say, again, I know who he is. I know there's words he should not be using. There's things he might not be saying. I'll give you that all day long. I can't really stand to listen to him most of the time, to be honest. But that's gone. And I've mentioned this before in relation to that. I'm tired of the mudslinging. I don't want you to get up there and tell me how horrible this person is. True or false? I want you to get up there and tell me what you're going to do for me to make my life and my family's life better that this other guy isn't going to do. That's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear this BS. Oh, he's just not a nice person and he's going to do this. He's going to call World War III. She's going to do this. She needs to be in. I don't want to hear that. I want you to get back up there like you're supposed to and just tell me what your plan is to make our lives better. That's all I want to hear.
I agree with you, but I'm going to say the mudslinging has been there before Donald Trump showed up in the politics stage, but it escalated when he showed up on the stage because he had zero and continues to have zero decorum. Even when he's dealing with foreign leaders of other countries, he has no decorum. He has no common courtesy and respect. Let me tell you, I voted for him and I get behind a lot of the policy he does, but I am not okay with the way he handles himself verbally.
Yeah. And he needs to stay the hell off of Twitter too.
He just needs to stop and focus on getting work done and stop the nonsense.
Well, that goes back to my comment about him touching King Charles.
Yep. It comes full circle. So yeah, I don't like it. I will say this: ain't nobody tried to take out Joe Biden. Ain't nobody tried to take out Barack Obama. So I think there's a very clear.
Although they have said now that there was 11 attempts on Barack Obama's life, we just didn't make them public. Did you see that?
Oh, baloney. I almost said the bad word, but I want to keep it clean for the purposes of baloney. I'm not buying it.
I'm not buying it either.
I'm not buying it. So, all righty. How about the resignations in Congress, Jim?
That goes kind of toward our discussion on decorum. And when you live in a world that we live in now, with everybody hypersensitive to how you treat people, it boggles my mind that some of these things still occur. It just boggles my mind. Some of the things that these people think they can get by with is just are they ignorant to what's going on in the world, or do they just not care? I don't know. But I mean, some of these, are for inappropriate contact. We'll just put it that way, and some of them are for actual other things. What's her name? That lady with the name I can never pronounce. Syphilis.
Yep.
Syphilis McCormick.
Yeah. So
yeah, what is it? 25 fraud charges or whatever.
Yes, the three that recently resigned. It started with Eric Swalwell. He was running for governor of California.
Yep.
And a bunch of women came forward and accused him of sexual misconduct. So I've never liked Eric Swalwell, but I got to give the guy credit. He stepped down, right? Mm-hmm. He did the right thing and he resigned. And then Tony Gonzalez in Texas also resigned because he had an inappropriate relationship with a staffer who committed suicide.
Yeah, that was wow.
He did the right thing and stepped down. And then Syphilis McCormick from Florida, she was the ethics committee found 26 findings of her violating the ethics, and there was going to be a potential vote on expelling her from Congress, which has only happened a few times in the history of Congress.
Yeah.
She was risking being expelled, so she resigned. But, oh, by the way, she's still under investigation for federal charges. So what I found ironic is she still submitted the paperwork for a campaign run. So she can still technically run for her position, even though she's resigned.
Yeah, I mean, those ethics charges, and then what she's being charged with stealing millions of dollars in federal relief funds. That's just, relief funds. I mean, that's just unbelievable. That's
so this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think there's going to be more coming. There's a bunch of, we've talked about this before, about the number of people resigning from Congress, which is good. But I like the fact that Congress is starting to hold themselves accountable, as they should. Well,
I mean, that happened with change in administration because they were not before. Not like this. Not like this. And they've called it a witch hunt. Well, sometimes witches need to be hunted. I mean, and if you're going on a witch hunt and you tear this guy's thing apart and you find nothing, they move on. If you've done nothing wrong, you got nothing to fear.
All right. our last subject for today is the May Day protest. And so was never really big in the United States till recently, but these protests take place in largely in Europe.
Yeah.
But what I find ironic, Jim, is in Minneapolis that folks are demanding the seizure of private property in Minneapolis.
That goes back to our socialism.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's taken. I've read some stuff on it. Chicago, New York. I mean, it's happening a lot. And like you said, it's mainly big overseas, but it's getting bigger over here. And actually, in many of those countries, it's actually a holiday.
Yeah.
But over here, a lot of our places shut down schools and such because they knew that so many people would be participating. I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense to me. You're gonna ditch school, so let's just shut it down so nobody ditches school. I mean, that's just not the answer. But what can you do?
Well, again, I think there's a lot of outside money influencing what's going on in these protests in Minneapolis, right? This is this whole thing about external money influencing local communities. I don't like it, Jim. I don't like it at all.
No, and I mean, there's an end game here. There's an end game going on, and it's just, and again, we go back to the thing we were talking about in the tax discussion. Is they want workers over billionaires is the whole theme. Workers over billionaires. We need to have workers' rights, and we need to hold the billionaires more accountable. And it's like, without your billionaires, buddy, you ain't got no job to work.
Well, again, focus on your local community, which has the most impact on you. Focus on the local community and your elected politicians in the local community, and make sure they can really deliver what they say they can do. That's super important. So
it is. I mean, you really got to look at their track record. I mean, obviously you can't if they're new, but it's here in my suburb of Nashville. We've still got politicians. I don't know if they do it in the bigger cities, but we've still got politicians that go knock door to door themselves. I answered the door one day, chewing a guy out for knocking on my door as opposed to ringing a doorbell, and it was the actual guy running for Congress. And then I ran into him at an event a couple months later, and he's like, "Oh, you remember me?" I'm like, "Yeah, I remember you." Yeah. But I kind of like that. I mean, granted, you can't do it in a bigger city because you just don't have the time. But yeah, he was here doing that, and that was pretty big. But we know people that know people, and so we get some inside tracks on things around here. And but it's a lot easier to do in a smaller community like ours. If I lived actually in Nashville, that'd be a lot more difficult.
All right. Well, Jim, I think we've run the gamut on taxes and current events. I want to take note just to thank you for coming up last weekend and hanging out with me to celebrate my 60th. Appreciate you coming up from Nashville. Super great to have you here.
That was fun.
Yep, a good time. Yep. It was a good time.
Met a lot of interesting people.
Yes, I've met a lot of interesting people in my journey in life, and we got a bunch of them together last Saturday, which was quite interesting.
That was impressive. That was fun.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Shout out to my goddaughter Alejandra for making that cake. The cake, the cupcakes, the pop cakes, the cookies. That was pretty impressive.
I'm surprised you don't have a picture of that popping up on here.
If people go to my Facebook page, they can see the pictures of the cake. It's pretty darn impressive. For those of you who don't know, but I think most of you know, I'm a New York Giants fan, and that was a cake like I've never seen. Pretty incredible cake that she made. I think she pulled an all-nighter to put that together, but it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was neat. Man, they cut us some really big pieces of that cake. Oh my God! Like, I'm diabetic and I'm trying to eat that doggone thing. I only got halfway through it.
Well, I've been eating cake all week, Jim. There was that much of it. I've been eating cake all week.
That's awesome.
So I had my cake and I ate it as well.
That's
No
awesome.
pun intended. All right, Jim. Well, I'm Kevin.
I'm Jim,
And we are
the Signal Brothers.
Thanks, folks, for watching. Have a good one.
Thank you, folks.